So let's talk about AI. On one hand, it's this incredible tool that promises to solve some of humanity's biggest problems. But on the other, well, it holds up a mirror to some of our own worst tendencies. We're going to dive into that promise and that peril. It really all boils down to this one huge question, something that still feels like it's straight out of science fiction. How on earth does a machine actually learn to be smarter than the people who built it? And you know what? The answer, at its very core, is shockingly simple. It's the same fundamental way you and I learn, the same way animals have for millions of years. Good old-fashioned trial and error. Now, when you hear AI, you might be picturing some supercomputer locked away in a lab. But the truth is, this kind of learning AI isn't some futuristic concept. It's already woven into the fabric of your daily life. Think about it. Every time Netflix just knows what movie you want to watch next, or you see an ad that's a little too perfect, or you ask a chatbot a question, that's it. That's a learning algorithm working in the background, getting smarter with every single click you make. So, how does this whole digital trial and error thing actually work under the hood? Well, the specific technique we're talking about is a really powerful concept in AI called reinforcement learning. Okay, to put it simply, imagine you create a little digital agent and drop it into a virtual world. This agent tries stuff out. It performs actions. If it does something good, something that gets it closer to its goal, it gets a little digital treat, a reward. If it does something bad, it gets a penalty. Its one and only mission, get as many rewards as possible. And this becomes a constant, relentless loop. The AI looks around, it tries something, it gets feedback, reward or penalty, and then it updates its strategy. It does this over and over and over again, sometimes millions of times a second, getting a tiny bit smarter with every single cycle. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like you're training a puppy. When it finally sits, you give it a treat. That's the reward. When it just stares at you brinkly, it gets nothing. Over time, it learns that the action sit leads to the best outcome. That's all AI is doing, just on a massive digital scale. And what's wild is that this idea is not new at all. This quote, it's from a psychologist named Edward Thorndike from 1911. He was describing how animals learn. So the basic principle driving some of our most advanced AI is actually over a century old. And this simple loop is unbelievably powerful. Early on, AI used it to master games like tic-tac-toe. Then, a famous program learned to play checkers at a championship level. And then came TD Gammon, an AI that taught itself to play backgammon so well that it literally started using strategies that no human grandmaster had ever even thought of. It became superhuman. Okay, so we have this incredibly powerful learning method, but this brings us to the absolute most critical part of this whole story. Where is the AI getting its information? What is it actually learning from? The answer is data, mind-boggling amounts of data. And that data is a digital snapshot of our world, our history, our choices, our behaviors. And yeah, all of our biases, warts and all. And this, right here, leads us to the core problem, the peril of AI. If the AI is just learning from a world that is itself biased, what do you think the AI learns to do? This isn't just a thought experiment. When these algorithms, trained on our flawed data, are put in charge of making real-world decisions about people's lives, they don't just repeat our biases. They can amplify them and automate them on a massive scale. Just look at this example. It's really stark. You have two men, both arrested for drug possession. A popular judicial algorithm was used to predict how likely they were to commit a crime in the future. It rated one of them low risk and the other one high risk. The man on the left, Dylan Fudgett, who is white, was rated low risk. He later got arrested for 3 more offenses. The man on the right, Bernard Parker, who is black, was rated high risk. He never committed another crime. The algorithm's prediction was the complete opposite of what actually happened. And this wasn't just a one-off fluke. When journalists and researchers analyzed thousands of cases, they found this disturbing pattern. The algorithm was twice as likely to falsely flag black defendants as high risk compared to white defendants. It had learned the bias from historical arrest data and was just spitting it right back out. Or how about this one from the corporate world? Amazon built an AI tool to help them find the best job candidates. The idea was simple. Just analyze the resumes of people they'd successfully hired over the last decade and find more people like them. The problem? The tech industry had mostly hired men, so the AI taught itself that men were better candidates. It literally learned to downgrade resumes that had the word women's in them, like captain of the women's chess club.
Now, to give you a sense of the scale here, look at this number, 72%. What do you think that represents when it comes to getting a job today? That's the percentage of resumes that are rejected by an algorithm before a single human being ever even lays eyes on them. Think about that. Almost 3/4 of all job applicants are being filtered out by these automated systems, which, as we've seen, can be deeply biased.
And the problem gets even more serious when it comes to healthcare, literally life and death. An algorithm was built to find patients with really complex health needs so they could get extra care. But to decide who was sick, the AI used a shortcut. It looked at how much money a patient had spent on healthcare in the past. But because of systemic inequalities, Black patients often spend less. So the algorithm made a terrible mistake. It concluded they were healthier than white patients with the exact same level of sickness. When you look at all these examples together, from the justice system to hiring to hospitals, you start to realize one very uncomfortable truth. The problem isn't just some bug in the software. It's something much, much deeper. There is a quote from the research on this that just hits the nail on the head. Bias in data comes from inequalities that are deeply rooted in society. The algorithm isn't malicious. It's not inventing these biases. It's just a machine that's extremely good at finding the patterns that already exist in our world. And that leaves us with this final, really difficult question, doesn't it? We've built this machine that holds up a mirror to our society. And if we don't like the ugly reflection we see, is the solution really to just tweak the algorithm to try and fix the mirror? Or do we need to take a hard look at the world it's reflecting?